The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. As Jesus continued his journey to Jerusalem, he traveled through Samaria and Galilee. As he was entering a village, 10 lepers met him. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voices, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourselves to the priests." As they were going, they were cleansed, and one of them, realizing he had been healed, returned, glorifying God in a loud voice. And he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. He was a Samaritan. Jesus said in reply, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks to God? Then he said to him, "Stand up and go. Your faith has saved you." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. What would your life be like if when you woke up today, you only had the things for which you had given thanks to God yesterday? Even if we have heard this question before, it is still extremely unsettling. If something like that actually happened, most of us, myself included, would be in a terrible position. Consider the amazing gifts we have received throughout our lives, most of which we have probably taken for granted. Our health, our family, our education, our employment, our homes, the very food on our tables. It is a sad truth that most people only pay attention to these necessities when something goes wrong, when they experience illness or hardship or loss. As a species, we are much more inclined to complain about what we do not have, rather than to give thanks for what we do. This message is reinforced by the events from today's Gospel. On his journey to Jerusalem, Jesus encounters 10 individuals suffering from the scourge of leprosy. Jesus, being Jesus, immediately heals them all, without asking anything from them in return. Nevertheless, he is clearly disappointed when only one of the 10 comes back to give thanks for his miraculous recovery. 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? We have no idea what life was like for the 10 lepers before they met Jesus, but I imagine that they all prayed fervently for healing, that they made promises about what they would do if God restored them to health. It is possible, of course, that some of the 9 attempted to fulfill whatever commitments they had made, but I suspect most of them simply went about their business as if nothing had happened. As dispiriting as this story is, we have to acknowledge that all of us are guilty of ingratitude as well, and not just to God. If we honestly look at our own lives, we will see that the people who have given us the most, our parents, our teachers, our spouses, are generally the people we have thanked the least. In some cases, particularly as children, we may be ignorant of what others are doing on our behalf. Nevertheless, as we get older, ingratitude becomes an intentional choice. None of us enjoys being dependent on other people. We all cultivate the illusion of being in control of our own lives, of being the masters of our own destiny. Whenever we say thank you to somebody else, and we truly mean it, we are acknowledging that we are not actually self-sufficient. Giving thanks is not only a matter of politeness, but a fundamental form of humility. There is another aspect of thanksgiving, which, although not explicitly mentioned in today's gospel, is essential to the life of every Christian. As we all know, the sacrament we are preparing to receive is called the Holy Eucharist. There are many other terms we use to describe the sacrament, such as the Mass and the Lord's Supper. But the word Eucharist carries a special significance. In the original Greek, it actually means thanksgiving. Every biblical account of the Last Supper mentions Christ himself giving thanks. For example, in the Gospel of Matthew, we hear that Jesus took a cup, gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which will be shed on behalf of many for the forgiveness of sins." Likewise, St. Paul tells us that the Lord Jesus, on the night he was handed over, took bread, and after he had given thanks, broke it and said, "This is my body that is for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Thanksgiving was not a peripheral aspect of the Last Supper, but is central to the mystery of Christ's body and blood. When Jesus commands us to do this in remembrance of me, he is not just talking about recreating a particular ritual, but about participating in his supreme act of thanksgiving. The good news, of course, is that God never assigns us an impossible task. The Holy Eucharist, at its core, is not about anything we do ourselves, but about God's action in our lives. The Eucharist is not only an encounter with Jesus Christ, but an opportunity for transformation. As Pope Leo the Great observed, the effect of our sharing in the body and blood of Christ is to change us into what we receive. All of us possess the ability, like the 9 unworthy lepers, to walk away from Jesus. On the other hand, if our objective is to join with the Samaritan in thankfully returning to Christ, then we must open our souls to receiving God's infinite love and mercy. The only way to overcome the weakness of our mortal nature, to be healed of our own spiritual leprosy, is to surrender ourselves fully to Christ's divine nature. Only by sharing in the perfect thanksgiving of Jesus Christ can any of us truly give thanks for the wondrous gifts we continue to receive this day, every day, and in the eternal day that is to come.